The James Harden and Ben Simmons trade. Did the Philadelphia 76ers or the Brooklyn Nets win the blockbuster deal? Some people will suggest that pairing James Harden with Joel Embiid makes it inarguable that the Philadelphia 76ers won the trade. Others will suggest they sacrificed too much depth in giving away Seth Curry and Drummond, and that the Nets adding that handy pair, a great shooter and a great rebounder, plus Ben Simmons, means they got the better end of this deal. The debate certainly got heated on Inside the NBA and Thursday night between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, and it was a fun topic of debate among all hoops fans on Friday. According to Barkley, the Brooklyn Nets won the trade. Philadelphia, to me, they gave up a lot of depth. I wouldn't have traded Seth Curry, and I like Andre Drummond. If Ben Simmons, please, and it might not work out this year, but they were going to have a really good team going forward. To me, Philly's got to win this year and next year. Because James has slowed down, he's not the same player, and I don't know how him and Embiid are going to work together. They both need the ball. James is going to have to make the bigger sacrifice because Embiid is a better player. When you get two great players together, one guy is going to have to take a backseat. To me, it's going to have to be James. Harden has to be the second best player for the Sixers. He's got to still play great. We haven't seen that since Houston. I'm looking at this trade and I'm concerned for my Sixers. O'Neal then said, "Not true. All Harden has to do is get his big guy going and get himself going. He's going to have something to prove." For me, the Philadelphia 76ers win this trade because they have a guy who is a dynamic scorer who, as Chuck has said, is one of the greatest one-on-one players. You can have two guys that score a lot of points on the same team. It's been done before. You've got to make sure the big guy eats first. Go to the big man, let him eat first, and if he gets tired or gets in foul trouble, then you go to work. James can get 28 easily. He hasn't done that because he's been sitting back. He doesn't have to sit back now. They need him to score, and they need him to do it now. So I disagree that the Nets have won this trade. The move came just 5 days after coach Steve Nash said the Nets wouldn't trade Harden, and only 13 months after they acquired the 2018 MVP to play with Kevin Durant and Irving. But Harden could have left this summer as a free agent, and the Nets decided it wasn't worth the risk to wait, ending their Big Three experiment after the trio played only 16 games together. On the other hand, Simmons did not play this season for the Sixers in the wake of a trade demand centered largely around hurt feelings coming off last season's playoff loss. Simmons averaged 15.9 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 7.7 assists over 4 seasons with Philadelphia, which drafted him. His defining moment as a Sixer came when he passed up a wide-open dunk against Atlanta in the second round of last year's playoffs that would have tied the game late in Game 7. The end of Simmons' time in Philly came down to this. He was stung by comments made by Coach Doc Rivers and Embiid in the aftermath of the Game 7 loss, and how he shouldered the blame for the Sixers' playoff loss. Simmons made a surprise return to the Sixers shortly before the season opened, but was promptly kicked out of practice and suspended for 1 game. The punishment didn't matter. He had no intention of ever playing for them. The 76ers are getting an MVP-worthy year out of Embiid, and team president Daryl Morey, who was in the front office with Houston when Harden played for the Rockets, made the deadline deal to ensure the Sixers have plenty for the championship push. Embiid leads the league in scoring with 29.4 points and has scored at least 25 points in 30 straight games. The pressure was on in Philly not to waste a season of his prime. Morey made the trade while holding on to Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle, two young core players the Sixers believe can help snag them the top spot in the East. Now that the trade is officially done, the fans and experts are arguing who is the real winner on that blockbuster trade. But according to a lot of polls that the fans answered, they think that the Brooklyn Nets win this trade because of the addition of Drummond and Curry. As we all know that these both players can contribute on a lot of things, Drummond on the board, and Curry who is a reliable shooter. But with all the dramas and issues, this trade must happen, and when it finally happens, both teams will have a fresh start but same goal, and of course the fans will be thrilled about this trade. But for me, I think the Nets and the 76ers both win this trade, and I just think that it was a right decision for both teams. People can say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, we can all have different opinion about this trade. There will be debates everywhere. The only sad part about this trade is we never really saw the full potential of Brooklyn. They were believed to be a contender this year, but with all the dramas and issues, we will all be left with what ifs. Sixers fans might want to start saving their cash for the March 10 game against the Nets. At least both Ben Simmons and James Harden got what they wanted. Let's just hope for the best for the both of them and their teams. The real battle begins. Now we can all just sit back and relax, and only time will really tell who is the real winner of this trade.